Welcome back. We're talking about the most that Islam took to convey the message. So, Brother Shabir, the Prophet ﷺ had an experience. How did he go from a person who just had an experience to a prophet with a message that had to convey that message to other people?
Yeah, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had to first be convinced himself that he was actually receiving a divine revelation rather than some kind of extraordinary visitation from some evil spirit or something. It is narrated that in his biographies that his wife was the first to believe in him and to comfort him. And the rationale she used is that the Prophet Muhammad was already known to be a noble individual who helped the poor and the widows and orphans and so on. He was a person of a very good character, and she didn't believe that God would allow such an individual to be so misled by something like an evil spirit. Mm-hmm. But there were ways of further confirming this initial sort of hunch that she had. And she knew one of her relatives, a certain man by the name of Waraqah bin Nawfal, who had some knowledge of the previous scriptures. And so she had him visit Waraqah bin Nawfal to describe his experience. And this man, having heard about what the Prophet, peace be upon him, went through, said that you have received that which came to Moses. Mm-hmm. So he saw a similarity between Moses' experience of revelation and now the Prophet Muhammad's experience of revelation. And he himself expressed his faith in the Prophet Muhammad at that point. Further to that, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, would then convey the message to the people who are in his household. He had Zayd, a servant. He had Ali, who was his cousin, a young man at the time. Mm-hmm. And these were the first persons to be told about the message from among the Prophet's household. Mm-hmm. And expanding from that a little bit, he also talked to some of his close friends, like Abu Bakr, for example.
Okay. Did he receive like direct, detailed instructions of how to approach this message, how to give this message, and what did that big, initial message entail?
It seems that he was not given the command right away to give the message to others, but another early revelation which would come to him would actually tell him to do that. Ya ayyuhal muddathir, qum fa'anzir, wa rabbaka fakabbir. O you who are wrapped up in your cloak. He seems to have been called this because when he received the first revelation and he came back trembling, his wife wrapped him in a cloak. Mm-hmm. So the Quran addresses him in this way and tells him to rise up and speak about God. Mm-hmm. More directly than this, he would receive an instruction from God to warn his close relatives. وَأَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ. Warn your close relatives, as mentioned in Surah 26. Okay. So gradually the message would go out, but it was quite gradual. For the first 3 years, his biographers note that he did not make any open declaration of the message, and perhaps this was because it would have been dangerous to do so. He lived in a very conservative society, and people wanted to keep things as they are. There were powerful leaders who benefited from the status quo. Wealth flowed in their direction, and the egalitarian message of Islam, which would call for the distribution of wealth, for charity and for looking after the poor and needy and downtrodden. This would be attractive to the poor and marginalized elements in society. Mm-hmm. But of course, such marginalized elements in society would not be able to defend themselves if in fact they were attacked. Mm-hmm. And so the message had to proceed in gradual steps.
Okay, so what needed to happen for the message to go from a private message to a public message?
Well, to begin with, God's directive had to come to the Prophet to make this a public message. But time was also given for the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to himself become accustomed to this new role and to be able to speak with such confidence about the revelation he was receiving. It was also necessary for him to have in his close surroundings some people who had already accepted the message, so that at least those who can be more easily convinced would already be convinced, and that this team of persons would now themselves be able to assist the Prophet in delivering the message to others.
So to have like some sort of personnel or some sort of support, I guess.
Yes, not only so that he should have this support, but it is a natural progression in any case that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, would first convey the message to those who are close to him before he takes it out to the public in such a dramatic way. And so if we think of a rippling effect, the message comes to him from God, and then it ripples out to those around him in larger and larger concentric circles.
Okay. We will be back after the break talking about the reactions to the message of Islam.